When I got to school, I knew everybody that was anybody, especially at the fraternity level and the soror level. I knew all of them walking on the campus, right? I get there, and this alpha took an interest in me, and he started to try to groom me to become an alpha. I didn't know what he was doing. He was just being real cool with me and, stuff like that. And I didn't realize he was grooming me, but I wanted to be a Kappa. So I ended up, I knew most of the, what we call the old heads. And so they had a line. We were on quarters back then. That's how old I am. They weren't even on semesters in college. But they were having a line that very first quarter that I was in school. And you have to be at least a sophomore to do black sororities and fraternities. On white sororities and fraternity, you can rush your very first semester there. But black for Divine Nine, you have to have at least a year under your belt. So one of the guys was going to get someone in the registrar's office to fake a transcript for me. I'm 18. I'm whatever. Let's rock. I want to be a Kappa. I wasn't serving God then. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, the girl that was going to fake the transcript for me in the registrar's office got fired for faking transcripts in the registrar's office. So I couldn't pledge.
Good for her.
Really. So I couldn't pledge that quarter. So they went through that line, went over, they went through the rest of the year. I was cool with everybody still. And I think they had another line sometime my sophomore year. Well, at least they had a smoker for it. And we all came together, and they wanted to do a line, but honestly, there was not enough strong people to truly have a line. So one of the old heads, and I know this for a fact because he told me, one of the old heads literally suggested, why don't we pledge Rick solo? Do you understand the clout you have to have for them to just have one person on the line?
Yeah, I never heard of that. I mean, how does that even happen? Oh, and before you go any further, I was curious about what were your grades like in high school?
They were mediocre. But they're mediocre because I cared more about being cool than
Cool, but
applying myself academically. I was pretty smart, highly intelligent. So I didn't have to study, and I knew I was going to get a C. If I tried to read the book, I was going to get a B. And so I laid in between the B's and C's because I didn't care enough to apply myself.
yeah, you
Now,
skid. Okay, so back into college. Did you?
hang on, I got to say this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where that came to bite me at is graduation.
Okay.
When I'm sitting there and I'm hearing people get awards for stuff I knew I could have done better in. And the only time I heard my name called was when I got ready to walk across the stage. I almost was in tears when I got ready to walk across the stage because I realized I spent 5 years not applying myself. And people that probably weren't smarter than me did apply themselves, and their names were being called every other time there was an award. I felt so empty walking across the stage to get my high school diploma. And I try to instill that in my kids now. You do not want the only time your name called at graduation is when they're handing you your diploma. And so that hurt me that I
Yes.
didn't apply myself. My grades got better when I went to college because I paid for it.
Okay, I was going to ask. Oh, I love it. I love the transparency. Thank you, Pat. Yes. I was going to ask you, did you step up in college and academically? But I want to we'll get back to your the pledging. You actually did pledge solo?
So no, so all the old heads gave me the thumbs up. You have to be unanimous. All the neophytes, the guys who I would have pledged with had my transcript been fake, all the young guys like not doing it. So and that was a matter of jealousy, to be honest with you. So I did not pledge then. And so by the time they had another line, I was just too old to pledge because some stuff you're just not gonna do. And
There's some you shouldn't do anyway, but I didn't think
yeah,
it'd be.
through the pledging process, it's just something. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do it, and I knew I was gonna be fighting all the time, like every day. It was gonna be on and popping. So I was just too old, so I didn't worry about pledging anymore.
Oh, so you didn't you didn't become a Greek member at all?
I did not become a Greek member at all. They still, I have friends that are Omegas like Rick. You can do a long chapter, dude. I'm 55. Nah, not happening. Still got friends that are Catholic. Hey man, won't you go? Nah, not happening. So, and what I learned later on from a spiritual perspective, and this is where you probably, if anybody is listening, they're going to cut off because fraternities and sororities, they're taught to put their letters first. You're on mute, Faith. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just about to get into that because I just did an interview with Dr. Charmaine Evans, and she's a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and I was asking her how, what is her perspective on the Divine Nine versus the church, and how people are denouncing it, and based off of their belief systems and how the sororities and fraternities operate. So I wanted to get your perspective as well.
Yeah. So, in all honesty, and they can say what they want to say, but those things put their letters before anything. They can espouse God all day long, but lots of people espouse God, but they don't follow him. They don't put him first. And so once I became mature in my faith and my understanding, I realized that if I would have pledged, I would have denounced, I would have rescinded my pledge. I would have written a letter to nationals and backed out of whatever you want to call it. I would have disqualified myself, resigned, whatever you want to call that. And I do know people of very strong faith that once they get to that point, they decide to resign from their fraternities and sororities.
Why would you have done that?
Because I try my best not to let anything come between me and my maker. I make enough mistakes on my own without doing something intentional. And now that I, have come into that knowledge, no. So it's just simply a matter of who goes first in my life. Is it my Lord or is it my desires to be cool?
And so in that perspective, just from your perspective, what why would you think that you being a part of the Divine Nine would interfere with your spiritual walk?
Again, you literally are taught that your fraternity comes first, your sorority comes first. I've heard people say, and I laugh. I was about to say my barber, but when I used to have a barber, he was an Omega, and he would tell the whole time he's sitting in stories. He'd tell in his chair, he'd tell you the stories about like as an Omega, if I was driving down the highway and I pulled over to the side of the highway and your mother was on the highway and she told me that, you were my brother, you were an Omega. My job is to give her my car, let her go on about her way. I stay there and get her car fixed. Okay. Yeah, right. How many times does that happen? Then I remember my best friend was a Kappa. He pledged grad chapter. He was down there in Florida Law and pledged grad chapter. And once I got out of high school, I didn't want to go along. I didn't want to go grad chapter. Nothing wrong with it, but in my mind, it was just kind of paper, and I didn't want to do that. If I didn't put in the work, I didn't want to pledge anymore after I finished undergrad. So at any rate, he was a Kappa and a Mason. God rest his soul. He passed away 4 years ago. But I remember hanging out with him and some people that were both Kappas and Masons as well. And we got into a situation to where we were trying to pay for something. And all these people with these great jobs and great titles didn't have enough to pay for it. So I contributed an extra $100. And they promised me that they would pay me back out of their treasury. Never happened. And so my best friend was like, man, I cannot recruit you for Mason. He's like, but if you ever want to do it, you let me know when we get you there. And I just thought, man, love you to death, my friend. I said, but if 15 Masons can't come together and pay back $100 that they owe, what I want to be part of that brotherhood for, And don't get me wrong, I have great friends that are in fraternities, and I have respect for them. I have great friends that are in sororities as well. But when you take your faith to a certain level, that's got to be paramount to you. There can be nothing between it.